feel like it's necessary for people to come in the comments and be like, oh, well, no, I disagree. You shouldn't have made those people being called light skinned. Okay, well, I already took multiple polls on this channel, so I kind of feel like if it was that important to you, you should have voted on the poll or whatever. I'm going by the majority rules here on this channel, so the majority of you guys voted for about shade 390 as being the absolute darkest. Like I said, I'm not creating.
No, for one, that's not even your opinion on this. You don't actually think 390 is light skin, but it is funny what you do think is light skin, considering if anyone really knows when it comes to Exoticals United, I've said this before, that she particularly went on pages of people who were particularly a 370 in Fenty and literally harassed them by calling them two-faced and saying that they're basically like the darkies, dark-skinned black people. That was what she said. I could get the post of the tirade she left on that person's channel. I always have a copy of it. But, like, for one, I mean, like, specifically, she's literally gone after people between the 370 Infinity and 390 range, so I don't understand what she's talking about when she's trying to include us. Like, what are you doing? I mean, like, TheeMademoiselle is a 390 Infinity in the winter, so, I mean, like, I don't know why you would think that would be a good idea for you when you regularly attack people who fall under these categories. And let's be honest here. I mean, like, honestly, I think she's more interested in attacking people who specifically don't have 3B, 3A hair like her. She has a real interest and fixation on her curly hair, and she likes other people who have curly hair. I think, honestly, she has more relatability to people who have curly hair than she does of people who she would deem to fall under the category of light skin, because, like I said, 370 and Fenty is the cutoff to her. How do I know this? Specifically because of Creole Lady Marmalade. She said I'd say 370, which I kind of thought, you really would? I don't know, I always thought Creole Lady Marmalade would, like, basically only include yellow bones, not caramel-skinned women like myself, but that's another thing. And I don't have anything against Creole Lady Marmalade, by the way. I like her content on her channel. You know, I don't know a lot about my Creole heritage, you know, but I'm always curious about Creole people because, you know, I do have Creole heritage. So some of her content was really interesting, and I don't have anything against her. You know, not thinking someone is light skinned or thinking someone is light skinned is not a hateful thing, you know. You know what to me is more hateful is specifically being hateful to people of this complexion range, which Exoticals United has been. I mean, for one, like I said, she literally went to a page of a woman who literally had pretty much the same complexion I have, and started calling her a darkie and saying that she was two-faced and basically like dark-skinned people or whatever, and that we were basically of like that brown-skinned women were of like low character, basically. But yeah, I mean, like, to me, it's just like, how can you try and include people that you vehemently bully? And I mean, personally, for me, everyone knows how she supported the other content creator who specifically was really mad at me for just simply saying I was light skinned. I mean, she was so mad, like, literally was trying to say I was delusional schizo for simply saying I was light skinned. And you have the nerve to be saying that Fenty 370 is light skin and it's the cutoff of light skin. when you guys literally said something was terribly wrong with me for saying I was light-skinned. How does that happen? How do you have where you say 370 and Fenty, she specifically says this. So it's not based off of a poll. She says it, that 370 is light skin. But then when you don't like someone, oh, they must be delusional. Oh, they must be really messed up. You're going to support someone who specifically said that a light-skinned woman who you claim was light-skinned by this parameter, basically, was specifically delusional for thinking they were light-skinned. So, I mean, like, you don't really, at all, in any regard, actually accept people, even on the darkest end of light skin, by what you're saying. You don't actually accept people who are 370 and Fenty. You just want to use people with 370 and Fenty. That's how I feel. Like, Shira7 has a big platform. Of course, you would like to support her because, you know, she has a lot of subscribers, but is it really that you actually support her phenotype? No. If given the choice, you would treat her just like a dark-skinned black woman too, probably. Because, like I said, you've called other people my complexion darkies and two-faced. And then on top of it, like I said, you support that idea of if someone like myself who called themselves light-skinned, oh, we must be delusional for actually calling ourselves that. But then you have this video here trying to claim that light skin is every complexion up to 390 and Fenty. Just to get some subscribers to support you? Is that what this is? Now you want to try and include 370 to 390 after all this time of being so frickin' hateful to people within that complexion range? Attacking these people when we tan, because God knows you love to attack us when we tan. Try and push that that's our natural color, you know, try and pretend sometimes that we must be bleaching, like in the case of Serena Williams, you know. You definitely don't support us. You definitely don't support us. So don't pretend with me and lie to me that you actually support anyone at a 370 and Fenty. Don't you dare do that. Because that is complete two-facedness. That is true fucking two-facedness.
Real life rules. Like, this is not some sort of cult or dictatorship where it's like you have to follow these rules in real life, but these are the examples I'm going to be using on this channel. So yeah, that girl was what you guys voted as quote unquote darkest shade of light skinned. I tried to pick someone who had very African features to show you what that skin tone looks like paired with African features. So I did notice that this particular content creator does have a very loose hair texture, but I'm sure there are other women who have.
Exactly. That's why you're calling her light skin. Because you always call women who have softer textures light skin at these complexions. But that's just not how it works. And that's what I've said over and over and over again. How can you ever try and say that specifically it is somehow that light skin is based off of what your hair texture is when it has nothing to do with your skin tone? Hair texture can be anything. It could be straight, it could be 4C, it could be 4A, it could be 4B, it could be 2C. You know, it could be any kind of texture, but you want to say that the skin tone has to do with the hair texture, because you wouldn't show anyone with Thor hair with that skin tone, because most likely you wouldn't actually see them as actually light skin. That's just the truth. Like I said, I'm lighter than this girl. She's a 390 in Fenty. I'm 370 in Fenty. But because my hair's 4A and not, you know, a 3 spiral curl, then, oh, my skin tone must be darker than this individual whose skin tone almost looks chocolatey, honestly. How the heck could I be actually darker? It doesn't make any sense, but that's what the nonsense this type of channel would basically push. It pushes the idea that it has to do with mixedness, and this is a problem in the sectors of, the exoticals and the golden sphere and all those type of content creators. They always have this idea of mixedness, and if you don't make that idea of mixedness, they want to kick you out. If you explain that you are 100% black, 90% black, or 80% black, anything above 75% black, they're going to try and push a narrative that you can't be the color you actually are because you happen to be of a higher percentage of African ancestry, basically, which is just really crazy. It's like, you are what you are, despite your hair texture, despite your racial composition. Your skin tone is what it is, but people can't just see it as it is, because they have all these concepts in the back of their head that they're trying to fit you in. Anyway, continue.
4C hair and a similar skin tone as well. So now I'm going to go to shade 385, which is a bit lighter than the girl that I just showed. So I did a quick search and I saw that the one and only Miss Aaliyah J wears shades 380, 385. She also tried on 390. So when I looked at this video from Aaliyah J, she settled on shade 385 as her shade. So she is another example of a darker, quote unquote, light-skinned person. And so I'm gonna show a few pictures of Aaliyah J for those of you who are not familiar with her. But what do you guys think as far as these shades being considered kind of a darker, light-skinned person? If you are within this shade range, I would say maybe Fenty 370 to about 390, kind of the darker shades of light skin. Have you ever had people throw you in and out of the light skin category? Do you feel like your experiences line up more with...
How the hell are you going to ask a fucking question that you do your fucking self? How the heck does that happen? I don't get that. Like, you literally try to put people who are in the 370 to 390 range at the beginning of your channel in the darker spectrum, trying to say that you called people my color darkies. You specifically, would attack that other girl, specifically who's a 390 in Fenty, and you would try to go after these people for their skin tone being darker and saying that they're dark skinned. And then all of a sudden now you want to try and say that they're light skinned just because now you realize there's a good portion of our population that you can basically exploit and try to get viewership from, basically, support from, and so forth. And it's just annoying to me because it's like, in reality, in your own words, in your own perspective, you have attacked people who were literally a 370 and Fenty. You literally call people with a complexion of 370 and Fenty darkies. So, I mean, like, how are you trying to talk about how they're somehow light skinned and they should have an experience similar to light skinned people when you didn't even understand that some of us could identify as light skinned just a sec ago? So that's one part of it. And then also, like I said, personally, it's like, how the heck are you going to say things like this? And then, like, for people like me, from the perspective of you guys always attacking me for saying I was light skinned, and I'm a 370 in Fenty. Oh, I forgot. I never showed you my natural hair texture, so I must be a 4C hair type, right? Oh, so if I have 4C hair, right, that means that I cannot be anywhere near light skin, right? That's what you think. Like, that's how you guys always have that perspective, basically. And then also, it's not just that. You guys also have this perspective of, like, you look at like how you like someone, how you don't like someone, how you think someone's pretty, how you don't think someone else is pretty, and then try and say, oh, this one can be light skinned, this one can't be, just because of how you feel about them rather than what color is fucking before you. You know, it's it if someone is a 370 in Fenty, that is a physical characteristic. You know, you have a physical characteristic of a skin color that is specifically matching to a 370 in Fenty. But you can't understand that. You can't use your damn eyes because you're too focused on other things in your fucking dumbass head, in my opinion. I mean, you must be so dumb to not understand that it's just a color. No, 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 no. You can't think it's just a color. You have to think of the person. The person, how you feel about that person. If you think that person is pretty. If you think that person is ugly. Like, come on now. Like, seriously, it's just annoying to me. It really is annoying, and I'm tired of it, really, honestly. Because it's like, you know, you want to use us, but you don't even see us as a part of your group. So, never mind, and do not fucking fuck with me. Seriously, don't bother me. Don't try and act like we're the same thing or anything, or like people that of this complexion are the same thing, when you clearly don't see it that way. That's all I'm saying. And also, a major thing is, most people could not vote below that complexion, and there were some complaints about that because she specifically wouldn't make it much lighter because she didn't want to risk being excluded from being light skinned. So that was just something else I wanted to put out there. She may have
the Light Girls documentary or the experience of a light skinned woman, or do you feel like your experiences line up more with a quote unquote dark skinned black woman? Have you ever experienced texturism or featureism? Have people used those things to decide whether or not they consider you to be light skinned? For example, if you are in this shade range, kind of just on the cusp of no longer being light skinned or just on the cusp of light skin, if you wear locks or a more Afrocentric hairstyle, do people.
The cusp of not being light skinned, according to this, would be above 390. I can't speak for those people, but my thing is this. In my life, if I don't have fools like this bothering me, generally I'm treated like I'm light skinned. That's just a matter of how it is. And honestly, in many cases, if I act like I don't know that I'm light skinned, people act like that's weird that I don't know I'm light skinned. So, I'm just saying, as far as personally my experiences, I've always been treated like a light skinned woman. I just can't admit that. Because if I admit that, I'll anger people like this who will go and try and call people my complexion darkies and two-faced, and people like her friend will say you're schizo-delusional for trying to say that you're light-skinned. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, like, I can't say it, but yeah, from my personal experience, I am treated that way. And honestly, it is kind of obvious. If anyone has eyes, you know if you're light skinned or not. And I know, I guess I could ask, possibly, for my viewers who are dark skinned or brown skinned, don't take this negatively at all, but it's not a bad thing, really, honestly. But, like, if you go in a crowd of black people and you're around black people, the majority of black people that you're around are going to be darker than you if you're light skinned. And if you're not light skinned, the majority of black people around you are not going to be the majority of black people are not going to be darker than you. in my experience, in every place I've ever been, in different states, in different environments, it really doesn't matter. As long as it's not a family, because a family has a certain type of look. So if a family is all light skin, then a whole family is light skin. If a whole family is dark skin, then a whole family is dark skin. I am seeing random people on the street, basically, because this is more evident of how the black population looks, not on a familial sense, but just on a nationwide sense. Anyway, in my experience, I'm generally one of the lightest people in the crowd, basically. So for me, I know that technically I'm light skinned, and I'm gonna be treated that way because, well, if you're one of the lightest black people, people are going to notice you're one of the lightest black people. So, that's just my perspective on it. It's just like, yeah. But it can be very alienating to be on the darker end of light skin, in my opinion, because when you are on the darker end of light skin, of which I don't really know if I'm on the darker end. Well, I guess I am on the darker end. In my city, I don't know if I really am, though, because technically I don't find a lot of people lighter than me, so because I live in a desert, everyone's tanning a lot. So, specifically for those reasons, it's like, yeah. But anyway, my whole point out of this was, when it comes to light-skinned black people and things of that nature, I have always felt like, when it comes to other light-skinned people, they tend to be very coloristic against you when you're a 370 and Fenty. If they see you as light skin, they will put you in and out of the category whenever it's convenient. Even if they do think you're light skin, they're still gonna do that, basically. So I just get tired. I'm like, situations like this are annoying, because it's like you literally just called these people darkies when they are between the shades of 370 and 390, but then you want to say that they're light skinned because you had a poll that specifically said 370 to 390 was light skin. And it doesn't even make any sense in perspective of people like me, period, because you literally still call someone my color a darkie, and you said that was the end of light skin, 370. So that's the last shade of light skin. So you're technically calling a light skinned person my color, a light skinned person of a Fenty 370, a darkie. That's pretty messed up, But a lot of people who are on the darker end like that, who do get a lot of backlash and a lot of hate from light-skinned people, and I feel we get that because we can get it. You see, dark-skinned people have power, they have the standard of blackness. Light-skinned people are always trying to please dark-skinned people. So, with people like us, they don't have that desire or interest or anything of that nature because we're not the standard of anything. We have no power, basically. So, we basically are scapegoats, basically. So, yeah, we can get hate from both sides, honestly, because of this. Because you can get hate from dark-skinned people, and then you can get hate from people like this who want to call you a darkie, call you a delusional schizo, or just attack you for having 4C hair, and so forth. It's just, to me, from my perspective, it's like, please don't try and include us now. Nah, you're too late. After all that you've done and try to be so hateful and try and bully people all the time for being between these colors, no thanks. So that's all I have to say in this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Bye, guys.